Today was a really rough day. It was a really rough day. It's a really rough shift. I don't know, I just feel like there's only so much anyone can take. I'm tired of walking into rooms and your patient's dead. You just walk into a room and there's a dead body there. Sometimes I think people just forget we're human too. We're human just like everybody else. We have emotions. Even if it affects you, when it affects me, I just can't show it at the moment.
Local shop.
I mean, just simple words there, reacting it. You're quite emotional by that.
Well, it's just, it's been, you know, it's been such a tough year for so many people, and there's William Shakespeare putting it so simply for everybody that, you know, we can get on with our lives, and you know, there's still a few months to go. I've still got this worry that we can't blow it now, Piers. We've still got to get the vaccine to millions of people, and so we've got to keep sticking by the rules, but it's just, you know, there's so much work gone into this now. Well, it's just, it's been, you know, it's been such a tough year for so many people, and there's William Shakespeare putting it so simply for everybody that
this virus is it's so serious and people don't see it that way. This virus is it's so serious and people don't see it that way.
Healthcare workers are surrounded by dying patients.
And then we had to decide to take the action in a way. That was really hard. That was hard. And then we had to decide to take the action in a way. That was really hard. That was hard.
The rings will be prohibited.
Because right after she gave birth, that's when they put the tube in.
As hard as orders like California's are on small businesses, officials are trying to avoid heartbreaking stories, like that of 33-year-old Erica Becerra. She was 8 months pregnant when she got sick.
We prayed for her. We talked to her. We comforted her until the last moments.
I quit my job today.
Some healthcare workers, like Imaris Vera, say the risk has grown too great.
This isn't gonna get any better. America is not prepared, and nurses are not being protected.
Vera says she loves nursing and she's looking for jobs in telehealth, but she has to protect herself and vulnerable members of her family.
I'd rather be without pay for a couple weeks and have to look for another job than possibly lose my life or my family members.
Sorry, I said I wasn't gonna do this, Jesus.
That's Don Lemon getting emotional about his friend and CNN coworker Chris Cuomo, who was recently diagnosed with the coronavirus.
I'm sorry, that was the next thing. Sorry, I told you I was distracted. Bianca, sorry about that. Thank you, Bianca.
Can I just tell you, by the way, we're all, I mean, for you being on air, and I know, you know, this is one of those situations where you try to be stoic and focus on the headlines. It's tough. It's tough. So, I also feel for Chris, and I know it's tough for you, and we're all fighting and rooting for him tonight.
Well, you know, sorry. I said I wasn't gonna do this, Jesus. He's probably sitting at home laughing at me. So here's the thing. I have to, when I walk into work every day, and Chris and I are really good friends. We live near each other. And so when I walk into work every day, I have to walk by where Chris is. So I usually go to his office and I say, well, you know, what's doing. Sometimes I bring the dogs and we just say hello. Anyway, he's just not here. And we have this great relationship.
I've known Chris. Chris and I go back to when he and I both worked at ABC. He was one of the first people to congratulate me when I was pregnant, telling me that meant I was healthy. Speaking of healthy, I don't know anybody else who is healthier than Chris, and so.
My brother Chris is positive for coronavirus. Found out this morning. He is going to be fine. He's young, in good shape.
I want to bring in Dr. Shirley Z, Associate Director of Hospital Medicine for Hennepin Healthcare. And Doctor, thanks for being with us. I know your hospital is in downtown Minneapolis. The state of Minnesota currently dealing with a recent spike in the number of people hospitalized with COVID-19. What has been the hardest part of your job this week?
I think it is just the feeling of just suffocating all the time. You know, we're suffocating in our patients' isolation and their fear. It's suffocating in just the emotional and physical exhaustion of all of our colleagues. It's feeling helpless because there's often nothing we can do for people. And I think it's the constant thought of what's coming next. People are literally suffocating inside our hospitals, and they are dying alone. And they don't get the luxury to complain about COVID fatigue. And their families don't get the luxury to complain about it because they're living in like COVID hell. We all want to be able to have our lives go back to normal, but it doesn't mean that we can pretend that this doesn't actually exist. And I think that's the problem, is that, you know, no one wants to believe how horrible it is, and so they've just given up.
How do you keep pushing forward?
You know, I think it's just, it's hard. I think it's really challenging sometimes to not accumulate all of these experiences and have that weight. But you know, COVID, it's not the cold, it's not the flu. It ravages your body. It attacks your heart. It attacks your brain. It destroys your lungs. You know, we're seeing so much suffering.
He always took care of me. He always got me my coffee and just wanted to help me get out of the house and help me in every way. And so I thanked him. And then I prayed. And then the doctor took the phone. And he said, "I'm sorry, but there's no more pulse." And then I played our wedding song for him. And then that was it. So I was with him, and he passed. But I don't want anybody else to experience this. This morning I woke up to a notification on my phone that 43 in Nassau County, 43 people alone overnight died because people are just not being careful. People are just being so invincible feeling. They think it can't happen to them. And maybe it won't happen to them, but maybe they're carrying it and they don't know it. And from my cousin today, I heard that their 11-year-old daughter had to yell at her 11-year-old friends for inviting her to the park. Why are you inviting me? You're supposed to be home. Why are you together?
It's just so raw. You know, sometimes I'm grieving for my husband, and then I realize my mom's gone, you know, and then I'm grieving for my mom, and I just think, oh, I'm going to go tell Dennis, and then Dennis is gone, and so the two people that would have been so supportive had the other one gone. You know, they're both gone. They started giving him morphine and Ativan, and I turned him over, and I rubbed his back, and I said, I love you. He said, I love you. And I said, you're going to go now, okay? You can finally be at peace. And he said, ooh. And he took his last breath about 30 minutes later. And I bathed him, and I cut his hair, and I put clothes on him. And then I left him. There's nothing else I couldn't save either one of them.
That night was the toughest thing I ever been through.
I mean, you bring your child into the world. I can remember the day Stasia pushed Tegan out, and as parents, you never expect to see your daughter in a coffin. You never expect to see your daughter in an emergency room with her eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling, dead. We're young parents, and no one can prepare for it, but we weren't prepared for this, and in our hearts.
Like Leslie and Patricia McWaters. One wouldn't have wanted to be without the other.
Married nearly 50 years, the couple died less than 60 seconds apart.
These aren't just deaths. These are people that struggle and really suffer in the final hours of their lives.
Does the White House have any comment on Cody Bailey, the security director who had his leg amputated due to COVID?
Yeah, our heart goes out to his family. They've asked for privacy, and he is recovering from what I understand. We're very pleased to see that, but he and his family will be in our prayers.
Creed Bailey, who heads the White House Security Office, lost part of lower right leg and a toe in his left leg during a months-long battle with COVID-19. Now, Bloomberg reports that Bailey, whose office handles White House credentials and works with the Secret Service, contracted the coronavirus in September and has been hospitalized for 3 months, but is reportedly recovering from the illness.